I'm sure we'll repeat this numerous times, but Tom has an exhibit at Roost Restaurant, which is at Union Arts Center. It's an exhibit of photographs from Iceland, so hopefully you'll all get there before it closes at the end of March. Okay, let's see where we are now. Okay, well, I'm going to invite Tom on now, and others will start to join, okay? So hang tight. Here he is. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Carole.
The screen here. So we have your Iceland photo behind. It's a lovely backdrop for us. Okay, so as I said, we're going to be talking a little bit about your Iceland photos, or maybe a lot about the Iceland photos. They're at Roost Restaurant in Sparkill, and there's a fascinating story behind what brought you to Iceland and your travels there, and I can't wait to hear about it. Tom, we love you're an amazing photographer. It's beautiful work. Tom has huge array of styles and subjects that he's covered in since the early 50s when he started making photographs. And well, besides being a photographer for all those years, you had other careers. You have a PhD in comparative literature and were a medieval scholar and college professor and a jazz musician.
Yes, to both.
Yes. So you've been busy, but all the while you've been making your photographs. So before we talk about the Iceland photographs and other work throughout the years, why don't you tell us a little bit about those early years and how you got started and what drew you to photography?
Well, I'm not sure what drew me to photography other than the fact that my mother was a gifted photographer. And I think it rubbed off on me. One thing that I'm still ashamed of is that she did her photographs with the original Leica, the Leica A, which came out in 1929.
Wow.
And I lost it. It still kills me when I think about that.
Wow.
I can't
so how old were you? How old?
Well, I must have been about 13 or 14, something like that.
Okay. So early, from a very young age, you were fooling around with fancy cameras.
Yeah, well, I think before that I was shooting with my first camera was an Ansco Panda. It was a little, it's kind of like a brownie, but the brand was different. It was Ansco. And one day I was just crushed. I found that I had lost the camera. And I thought, oh my gosh, I was just heartbroken. But, life went on. I kept going to school. And about a year later, I was climbing in this Japanese maple tree that was in our yard. And there, hanging like a little broken branch, was my Ansco Panda.
Okay.
And it still works.
Oh my gosh. It's amazing. Okay.
Yeah. So, as I say, I think my mother's gift for photography rubbed off on me. I just kind of coincidentally, as a senior in high school for my chemistry project, I made a sheet of photographic paper and developed it in my I had a little dark room actually at that time. Mm-hmm. That my father had set up. My father was also quite a good photographer and quite interested in photography. So, that, I don't know, then I went to college and I did a little photography in college, not a whole lot. At that time, for some reason, I had I was photographing then with a Japanese knockoff of the Rolleiflex twin lens reflex.
Okay.
Called a Yashica mat. It was called, but it was that medium format, a 2 1/4 by 2 1/4 inch.
Mm-hmm.
And I took a bunch of photographs there, but in college, I didn't have. I'm trying to remember whether I had access to a darkroom. I'm not sure I did at that time. I did. There was one of the best photographed. I went. Let's see. When was this? I must have been in graduate school at that time, so it must have been after 1960. It had to have been because my eldest son had just been born. And there was a camera shop in Princeton. And I was interested in one of the cameras that they had. It was an Exacta. And I took it out to try it out. And I took this photograph of my ex-wife and my eldest son, who was then, I don't know, 6 months old or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I didn't like the camera because it was made for people who were left-handed. The shutter release was on the left of the camera. Wow. And not only was it on the left, but you had to press in on the camera, which meant you almost certainly were going to jiggle the camera just by, pressing the shutter release. But I brought the camera back, and somehow I got that printed. I forget whether I printed it myself or had it printed. And that's still one of my best photographs. It's quite good. It's on my site.
One second, Pete. I'm calling you Peter. Tom.
That's my son.
It's very pixelated. Do other people see that, or is it? I'm not sure if it's what I'm seeing or whether it's your connection.
Can you hear?
I can hear you okay, but you're...
No, I was talking to Cynthia.
Can anybody comment on, and let me know if you see Tom okay?
She's saying I'm very pixelated.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know why. Yes, Betsy, you see the pixelation too? Is that what you're saying?
I don't. Not particularly. And okay. This is, I'm speaking from a Samsung Galaxy phone.
I'm not sure. Yeah, a lot of people are seeing you fuzzy, but we can hear you. It's in and out. Maybe I wonder if you move there. Now no, it's in and out. We can hear you. Okay.
Okay. So well, that's the important thing.
Coming and going. I don't know if it's your internet connection or what, but we can hear you.
Okay. Good.
But anyway, sorry for interrupting. I just want to say that I wish I had known that, as a left-handed person, there are not many things made for us left-handers. So I wish I had known I had that camera.
That was the Exacta camera, yeah. Okay. Made in East Germany.
Yeah. Okay. Well, do you still have any of your mother's photographs?
Yeah, well, I don't have them, but... Excuse me.
You want some water? Get
some water. I'm a little emotional about this.
Oh.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
My mother stopped taking. My mother was Russian and was probably a German citizen by the time she and my father came to this country in 1937. And when the United States entered the Second World War, she was de jure an enemy alien, and she had to surrender her camera to the police. So from about 1940, when did we join the war? 1941. From 41 till 45, she didn't have a camera. It was in the police. It was at the police station.
Yeah.
Well, when she got the camera back at the end of the war, she had kind of lost her, her desire to take photographs. She was kind of soured on it, and that's the way it was for until about 93, I think. One day, I was up in her bedroom, and I was looking for something in one of her. She had a sideboard thing up there in her bedroom. I forget what I was looking for, but I came across all of her photographs.
Oh, wow.
That were mounted on cardboard, kind of, in a certainly not very archival, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And they didn't even look all that good. So I pulled them out, and the first thing I did was to remove them from the backing carefully. And then I photographed them with a digital camera. Mm-hmm. Now, to make a long story short, I was friends with a woman in Hamburg, Germany, who has a gallery there, and I sent her images, and she said, "Oh gosh, we'd love to have a show here." So I forget how I got them framed. Somehow, maybe she framed them. Anyway, I sent all the pictures over to her.
Now,
I'm just getting a little emotional about this because she didn't take herself seriously as a photographer, really.
What year was that you had the show of her?
Well, it started with I made a little show right in her house, and it was on the event of her having been in that house for 50 years. That was her house in Princeton, where I grew up too. Mm-hmm. And then I sent them to this friend in Hamburg who has a gallery, and she did a show there. And that show led to an exhibition at the one of the major museums in Hamburg, Museum für Kunst und Gewerbe, and
yeah,
they put on an exhibition of these works, and as a matter of fact, there were two photographers in adjoining rooms, my mother and Helmut Newton.
Wow. Do you have their catalog?
Yes, there's a catalog, and it's beautiful. They did a beautiful job on the catalog. I think I bought out all the existing copies of it, though. I don't know, maybe they'll reprint it, but it is a beautiful catalog.
That's great. Well, it's clear that your parents were huge influences on your artistic aspirations. And so when you went to Iceland in 2008, you, in fact, followed in your father's footsteps. Now, your father is, and for those who don't know it, Tom's father is Emil Artin, who's a world-renowned mathematician. And he went to Iceland with a group. What was it called?
Vandarfogel. That was a youth.
Yeah.
That was a youth movement.
And Tom later on went and followed in his footsteps and created this photographic archive that is now on view, and we'll talk about that. So you want to tell us about that now?
Well, he went to Iceland, in 1925. Iceland was a place of considerable interest already to some very famous people. And you can read about it in the introduction to the book I published of my father's journals. But in 1925, this was obviously before the Second World War. And Iceland, at that time, in the Second World War, the American military and the British military had bases in Iceland. And that really transformed Iceland from I don't want to say a backward country. It wasn't backward. Backward is the wrong word, but undeveloped in the modern sense of development. And he gathered a group of, I think it was 12 young men who joined him on a trip around Iceland on foot. So they were wearing hobnail boots. And I can say this, that, and he kept a journal. As a matter of fact, here is the journal, which he kept. It was meticulous. I don't know how well that's showing up, but he wrote in a minuscule but very neat hand. And he made an entry every day that he was in Iceland. And in fact, one of the pictures, I don't know if it's on the display, is actually a photograph of him making an entry into the journal. I didn't know anything about this journal, the existence of this journal, but after my mother died in '93, we were going through the house and emptying it, and she had next to her bed, she had a filing cabinet, and in this filing cabinet was this diary. So the first thing I did was, as I say, the hand in which he wrote was neat but minuscule. So the first thing I did was to transcribe it into a typescript. That took over a month to do. Let's see. Oh,
German, your sister.
Yeah. So yes, and that I published it in the German text. There's an English translation which was done by my sister. Yeah.
So the published version is German?
It's both. It's got the German text. This is it. Published by the Free Scholar Press, in which I have a hand. And this also has an introduction, which I wrote, which describes all the previous trips to Iceland, which had been taken by all kinds of people. Most recently, W.H. Auden and Louis McNeice made a trip through Iceland I guess that must have been in the 50s. Anyway, let's see, where was I?
So then you decided to follow it.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So I was fascinated by this journal, and
Getting fuzzy again. You're getting fuzzy. I wonder, you're not moving, you're not doing anything.
No.
Moving any, okay. We can hear
not.
you. Hopefully it'll go away again.
Okay. It doesn't matter if I'm fuzzy, as long as you can hear. As long as you can hear what I'm saying.
Okay. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So I got the idea once I, sort of immersed myself in the diary. I got the idea to go to Iceland myself and retrace his steps. Now, in the event, I did much more than retrace his steps, since he was going on foot with this group of Wandervögel. That is a term for this youth movement, this German. It translates to migratory birds, wandering birds. Anyway, since he was on foot, his itinerary was relatively short compared to mine, because the first thing I did was rent a car. I rented a little Toyota RAV4, and among the pictures is a picture of me, which I took with a remote device, standing in some place in Iceland. And as I say, since I was in a car, I was able to do an entire circuit of the island. There's a Highway 1 in Iceland, also known as the Ring Road. It goes all the way around the island. And I did the whole circuit of the Ring Road. So I saw much more than he would ever have been able to see. Mm-hmm. And I, photographed along the way, including I photographed all the places that he had photographed, because I have his photographs. But a lot more besides. I came back with something like 265 pictures of Iceland. And they are all, you can see them all, I think, on my website, right?
I think we should, at some point, juxtapose the two, his and yours in the same location, do a little, even if it's an online kind of thing, right?
I've done that.
Yeah.
I have that somewhere in a PowerPoint.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be interesting to see.
Yeah. So,
were they digital?
Yeah. Yes, I shot them digitally. Yeah. With a Sony camera with a Carl Zeiss lens. I'm particularly, I'm loyal to Sony because of their relationship with Carl Zeiss, because I'm very partial to Carl Zeiss lenses.
Okay. Do you only shoot digitally now?
No, I also shoot on film. In fact, I also shoot with my old Rolleiflex, my old twin lens reflex, and black and white film.
How do you process your vision with when you use digital versus the antique cameras? Yeah.
I mean, with the old cameras, I only shoot black and white. So, there's a huge difference right there, aesthetically. I've also done quite a bit of commercial photography with the digital camera. Done food photography and all kinds of work with that.
Freezing. Okay, so the Iceland, it must have been an emotional experience for you.
Yes, it was. It was.
Well, hopefully, I should, we're going to, if people will look on the Instagram post after this discussion, we'll make sure that we link to the Union Arts Center, Roost, and the websites. So you'll be able to see everything and information about Roost. For those who don't know Roost, will know where to go. Since it's up through the end of the month, you should get there. They have outdoor seating and heating. It's a great restaurant.
It is a great restaurant, and they have oysters.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I'm sorry. So carry on. Is there anything else you wanted to say about the Iceland photos or the trip?
The gallery?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I used to have a studio in Orangeburg. We've moved my studio to a gallery right in Sparkill at 642 Main Street, and that is not quite open yet, but will be, and we'll be showing works by a whole bunch of people, both painting and photography.
Yes. Yeah, it's a storefront, so that'll be, I didn't want to jump to that. I still had a few questions before we get to that and we're not at the end yet. Hold on.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you about, I did want to ask you about your subjects because you do have a very wide range of subjects.
Well, let me talk about the horses.
Yeah, okay.
The Icelandic horses are a very special breed, and Iceland is so jealous, guards the breed so jealously that you cannot bring another kind of horse into Iceland. It's forbidden. And the horses are integral to the sheep herding industry, which is one of the main industries in Iceland. And the reason the horses are integral to that industry is that these horses, the Icelandic horses, are able to climb up the rocky mountainsides where no vehicle could go, and they follow the sheep. So they are very integral to the industry, and they're marvelous looking horses. I mean, they have a very particular look. Beautiful horses.
Yeah, so you have those and a lot of other horse photographs.
I do have a lot of horse photographs, not all from Iceland. Yeah,
right.
As a matter of fact,
photographs in general. A lot of animals, insects.
Yes, I do. Raccoons.
They're all very serene and beautiful. Even the insects are clean and beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, in my old studio that I had in Orangeburg, there was on that same property was a stable, and a lot of my horse pictures were taken there. Not all of them. I also have a friend who is a polo player, who has who lives in Connecticut and has polo matches regularly, and I've gone up there many times and photographed the visiting horses. Actually, some of my best horses are from his polo matches.
Wow.
Polo matches, yeah.
So do you always go out, have a camera in your hand, ready to shoot? Or in other words, do you shoot things you see in the moment, or do you go out?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
I would say, right now, I never leave the house without my phone. And this phone, which is a Samsung Galaxy, has a spectacular camera on it. So in that sense, I'm never without a camera.
Right.
For those who know what it means, this camera shoots in RAW, which is a format that preserves every single detail. Most cameras, most phone cameras, when you take a picture, there's an algorithm in the camera that automatically throws away a lot of the data, unless you record it in RAW format. RAW preserves every bit of the information, so I always shoot in RAW whenever I can. But I have several digital cameras aside from my phone. All Sonys.
Yeah, the technology is always changing. One always has.
Yes, it is.
Technology, yeah.
That's true, and by now my Sonys are totally out of date, but that's okay. They work fine for me.
So, do you have any particular series in mind, or any subjects that you're planning on focusing on next?
No, as a matter of fact, I'm still mulling over. I was thinking of doing a series of portraits of friends and relatives with the in black and white with the Rolleiflex.
Okay.
But I haven't gotten around to. I bought the film. I have the film.
Yeah, and as soon as you need to be able to be in proximity to them, unless they're wearing.
Yes.
Right.
That's true.
Or outside.
That's true.
I guess we could do it outside. Yeah. So and so when do you expect your Sparkhill studio to be open?
Oh, probably next month.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. 642 Main Street.
Okay. Yeah, it's right around the corner from Union Arts Center.
Yeah. Well, yeah, kitty corner.
Right.
Kitty corner from it.
Yeah.
Next to the post office.
Right. So, yeah. So, one other thing that I thought was interesting was this, we, at the Hopper House, we had so Edward Hopper was on Time magazine. Was it 1950? He was on the cover?
It must have been 1956.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's a painted picture. And it turns out you were in the group of photographers that went to Truro, to Edward Hopper's studio to shoot the photo. And what I didn't realize, what a lot of people may not realize, is that those painted covers of Time magazine, well, maybe it makes sense that they were originally photographed. So Tom,
they were all based on photographs. Yeah. I was that summer. It was the summer after I graduated from high school, the summer of 1956. Okay. I shared an apartment with a friend in Manhattan, and I got a job as William Vandivert's photographic assistant. So I worked for him. He had a studio on 9th Street, and I worked for him that whole summer. We photographed Edward Hopper and who else? Rex Harrison.
Right.
Backstage, My Fair Lady had just opened.
Yeah.
So we photographed Rex Harrison, and then we also photographed the Speaker of the Republican National Convention, whose name I can't remember.
I remember asking you, what Edward said. You basically said nothing because, we all know that he was very sort of taciturn, didn't speak much. So
he spoke. I was very excited because, first of all, it was my first commercial air flight. We flew up in a DC-3 to Cape Cod, to what's that town? Well, it doesn't matter. Anyway,
yeah,
he's in Truro, so we drove. We rented a car and drove up to Truro, and I was very excited because I thought we were going to talk about art.
Yeah. No, he doesn't like to talk. Yeah.
No, all he talked about were the most banal things. Yeah. The weather. It was funny.
Well, I imagine Rex Harrison was a bit more charming.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
He was.
Well, so I think we're good. Is there anything else you want to bring up? we haven't covered?
No, I've just asked everybody to take a look at my website.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll post.
TomArtinphotography.com. And
yes, we'll make sure everybody sees that. We'll post that when we put this video up. And Bruce Restaurant in Spark Hill, Union Arts Center.
Yes.
Pay a visit. Beautiful work. It's printed on
acrylic.
Acrylic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Acrylic. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Up until this medium came out, I had my color pictures printed on metal, which I liked a lot. But the acrylic is even better than the metal. So
they're
beautiful.
They're
very beautiful.
They're not framed and they're very sleek. And check them out. Thank you, Tom. It was great talking to you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, pleasure.
It's a lot of fun.
Okay, we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.